Hello fellas. Welcome back to Top 5 Choices. This is Haley from Top 5 Choices, and I hope you all are doing good. In today's video, I am going to do a detailed review and pick the top 5 best gaming PCs, 2022. After doing proper researches, we came to the conclusion that meets the best in terms of overall. Kindly leave a like if you find this helpful, and I'd appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and turn on post notifications if you haven't. We will be also providing affiliates link to purchase from Amazon. Kindly use it for best offers and purchase from anywhere in the world. We'll be back with more videos. The chassis is surprisingly small, at 14.5 by 12.1 by 6.7 inches and 18.6 pounds. You can put it right on top of your desk if you have enough room, but it's also sturdy enough to live on the floor without getting kicked over accidentally. On the front, there's an elegant crosshatch pattern and a diagonal blue LED strip. I like the LED, but I was disappointed that there's no way to dim it without going into the BIOS and no way to change colors. What I really like about the chassis, though, is the clear side panel. There's a clear, rounded, plastic rectangle on the G55090's left side, which lets you see the inner workings of the machine at all times, softly illuminated by the aforementioned blue LED. It's a very attractive setup, and it could theoretically let you diagnose hardware problems without ever cracking open your PC. The G55090 should have enough ports for all but the most accessory-laden PC enthusiasts. On the front of the machine, you'll find 3 USB-A ports, 1 USB-C port, a 3.5mm audio jack and a 3.5mm mic jack. On the back, you get 3 more audio jacks, subwoofers or surround sound, 6 USB-A ports, an Ethernet port, a DVI port, an HDMI port and a display port. The computer also has an internal Qualcomm DW1810 chip for 802.11 AC wireless and Bluetooth 4.2 connectivity. While I'm still not sure a 1080p optimized machine merits more than $1,000, the G55090 performs well enough in its comfort zone. This PC ran Far Cry New Dawn at 79 frames per second, Middle-earth: Shadow of War at 65 frames per second and Shadow of the Tomb Raider at 42 frames per second, all on very high graphics settings. The Tomb Raider performance is a little disappointing, since even consoles can run this game at 60 frames per second, albeit not with perfect consistency. The HP Omen 30L has a stylish look to it. From the front, it has the cold feeling with a semi-transparent tempered glass panel that shows off the HP Omen logo at the top and a single ring light on the front intake fan near the bottom. Coming around the side of the HP Omen 30L, you get to see the interior lit by internal RGB lighting. Our test model also includes RGB memory modules to really keep the light show going. There's a decent smattering of ports available on the computer, including 2 USB-A ports on the front of the case alongside a combo headset jack and a dedicated mic in port. Unfortunately, there's no USB-C port on the front of the case. We also notice a hint of noise in the signal to the headset port on the front, with a faint static always present and a hiss that links perfectly to our mouse movements, tested both with our wireless mouse's receiver inserted in a USB port next to the headset jack and connected to a USB on our monitor. Thankfully, the noise level is low enough to easily be drowned out. HP touts this as its most customizable gaming PC it's ever made, and it offers tool-less access through the removable glass side panel. But taking a look inside, this doesn't look like a PC that's easy to do much customization with. To start, there's not a lot of extra, unoccupied space, especially when it comes to custom cooling. There's only one fan slot at the front and top of the case, and the rear exhaust slot only has space for a single small fan, 90mm, from the looks of it. The hard drive cage is also squeezed in at the front of the case. A standardized motherboard and power supply may be the main components allowing some customization. But even that motherboard lacks extra PCIe slots for expansion cards beyond the installed graphics card. Fortunately, there's plenty of performance available from the HP Omen 30L without going deep into aftermarket customization. In our regular suite of benchmarks, the HP Omen 30L performs in line with what we'd expect from its components. With settings dialed down, it can offer blistering speeds at 1080p, and it can keep cruising even at 1080p with ultra settings even in demanding games like Metro Exodus. Alienware continues to refine its futuristic-looking case design that blends style and serious functionality. Even if the fan noise gets exceptionally loud under heavy load, there are different power/cooling options, including a more expensive 1000-watt multi-GPU approved PSU with an AIO liquid cooler. Lights on or off, the all-black case, with minimalist lighting looks beautiful. An RGB light ring encloses the lit Alienware logo power button, along with 3 USB-A ports, 1 USB-C port and headset/microphone ports. Both lights can be changed through the Alienware Command Center application, which comes pre-installed. The back of the case offers a standard assortment of USB, audio, Ethernet and GPU ports. Thanks to a single screw and latch mechanism, upgrading is easy too. Within the warped, minimalist spaceship design is a machine able to put up magnificent numbers. Regardless of the game's visual fidelity, the R10 can tackle pretty much anything. Total War: Three Kingdoms averages 366 frames per second on low settings and 133 frames per second at ultra settings at 1080p. Meanwhile, Metro Exodus delivered 115 frames per second average at standard 1080p resolution with ultra settings and 258 frames per second on low settings. On more modern AAA games, frame rates were significant. Dirt 5 ran at a locked 60 frames per second without a single dip on max settings at 1080p, allowing rally races to deliver a great sense of speed with all the visual weather effects cranked up. Compared to next-gen consoles from Microsoft and Sony that feature a less powerful version of this CPU/GPU setup, this is the most premium way of experiencing these titles. Control features the most pronounced implementation of ray tracing and is essentially a showcase of the rendering technique. Nearly 2 years removed from its release, the game from Remedy still remains one of those titles many will use to show off the performance prowess of their rig. The R10 can run it at high resolution and frame rate without breaking too much of a sweat with all the reflective, moody lighting, quality textures and explosive shootouts on screen. The Orion 3000 could also sit next to a TV if you wanted to play PC games on the big screen, but nobody will mistake it for anything but a gaming PC. The stylized black plastic and metal chassis sports a tapered design and a big RGB lit fan on the front that might make it hard to work into an entertainment center. The Orion 3000's case feels sturdy and looks good on a desk, with an oblong front panel sporting 2 LED light strips and crowned by a glowing power button. Near the bottom of the front panel is Acer's 92 by 92 mm Frostblade fan, which is lit by customizable RGB LEDs. The customization is conducted via Acer's Predator Sense software, which comes pre-installed and is also used to manage the internal RGB lighting and the pair of vertical light bars which flank the fan and run up the front panel. The front panel of the Orion 3000 is a bit taller than the back, and the top of it tapers back into a sort of handle that makes the desktop a bit easier to move around. It's been a long time since I had to bring my own desktop to a LAN party, but it's nice to know the Orion 3000 is easy enough to tote if I feel the need. You might never need to crack open that front port, but if you do, it gives you easy access to a USB-C port, a USB-A port, and separate headphone and mic jacks. Around the back, you'll find another USB-C port for USB-A ports, half USB 2.0, half USB 3.2 Gen 1, an RJ45 Ethernet port, a microphone jack and audio line in/out ports. The NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 GPU in our review unit provides an additional 3 DisplayPort jacks and an HDMI out. That's a solid port selection, and it's enough that you may never need to invest in a dongle or USB hub, but you might want to, especially if you have or plan to invest in a lot of USB-C accessories. The case measures 49.8 centimeters in height, 42.1 centimeters in depth, and 18.9 centimeters in width. Although Asus calls it a compact desktop, it's basically a mid-tower case, and it weighs 10 kilograms. At the front, it has a diagonal RGB LED light, the power button with a white backlight, and the ROG logo. The plastic grille allows air intake. There's a retractable hook towards the top where you can hang headphones, and Asus says that it can handle up to 3 kilograms of weight, but it feels rather flimsy. The side panel on the left is fully transparent and you can see the RGB light strips inside. The power supply shroud runs along the whole depth of the tower. Although the Ryzen 7 3700X comes with a Wraith Prism cooler, the GA15 comes with a standard air cooler. The side panel on the right is made out of metal and hides all the cabling. At the top, there are USB Type-A, USB Type-C, headphone, and microphone ports. There is a grill as well, letting the airflow inside from the top. The whole tower is raised a bit from the front. At the rear, there are all the ports that I mentioned above along with a fan. Overall, the PC looks quite good and it doesn't go overboard with the gamerish theme, but still offers some RGB goodness, a see-through panel, and keeps the standard tower design. The headphone hook also makes it more practical. However, I wish it had an RGB CPU cooler to complete the RGB goodness. The ROG Strix has a pretty powerful CPU and a mid-range GPU, and its performance goes along the same way. You can do almost any productivity task with ease. In terms of gaming, you can rest assured that you can run most games at 60 frames per second or above in full HD resolution. If you're into esports, you can expect above 120 frames per second in most games at 1080p resolution. The PC runs pretty cool and makes almost no noise even under heavy load. The AMD 3700X crushes almost every consumer-grade Intel processor out there, both in productivity and gaming tasks. In Cinebencher 20, the ROG Strix J15 scored 4,387 points, and in Cinebencher 15, the PC scored 1,896 points, coming in the top of the list. In PC Mark 10, the machine scored 5,737 points. In 7-Zip Benchmark Utility, the ROG Strix J15 scored a total combined score of 64,469 MIPS. The SSD used inside the PC is a mid-range one, and it can reach sequential read and write speeds of up to 1,629 MB per second and 1,472 MB per second, respectively. Random read and write speeds were around 669 MB per second and 646 MB per second, respectively.